Let's take it back to September 24th, 2007. You were in a long line for hours awaiting the pickup of a copy of Halo 3. The pure adrenaline of a new Halo game made you so hyped that you spent $60 or even more for a special edition of the game months in advance. Then you grabbed your copy, went straight home, and did not come out for days playing for the multiplayer with your best buds. This is one of the many experiences gamers have with video games, pre-ordering and the pre-launch hype. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about here today. What is good, y'all? It is TheYoungKingKen, and today we're going to take a shot of nostalgia and talk about the experience of pre-ordering games today versus back in the day. And while I am maybe the only one speaking from my experience, please comment below. I want to know your favorite experience with pre-ordering a game. And before we get started, while I do cover video games and anime related topics on the channel, I also stream on Twitch, so go ahead and follow me there. And please subscribe to hit that notification bell to be a part of our kingdom of over 100 strong. Without further ado, let's get into this discussion. Before we get into pre-ordering, I just wanted to define what it is for those non-gamers and for the purposes of this video. Pre-ordering a game is the act of purchasing a game that has not been officially released to the public. Publishers enact this not only to get a gauge of how sales will be, but as a tactic to get more people to buy the game. If a game trailer suits your needs and you want to confirm your spot in line, you would simply pre-purchase the game at a retailer. Some retailers like GameStop will allow you to put down $5 or around that amount on a game, and you can pay the rest up and on to release. Digitally, you will have to pay the full price. To briefly put it, the benefits of pre-ordering allows you to play the game right at launch, even securing your spot in line to grab a copy of the game, while even getting in-game and cosmetic rewards for pre-ordering. While the cons of pre-ordering are that you are pretty much betting on a high-quality game that you haven't seen fully, and if that game is badly reviewed, oh man, you just wasted most likely the highest price the game will ever be in its life cycle. Also, as we talk about pre-ordering nowadays, another con is that developers, especially those of major franchises, will eventually drop the quality of the actual product because they know that it will sell well, so why not? There are other reasons that I will sprinkle throughout the video, so let me talk about what pre-ordering was like back in the day. The Halo 3 scenario I brought up in the intro is not from personal experience, but from friends of mine. Before purchasing a game online, this was the way you pre-order games. You go to the retailer, pay your money, and you have a guaranteed spot in line. Back then, games came in limited quantity, and if you did not pre-order the game, then good luck finding a copy for the next couple of weeks, especially if it was a major title. One example that I remember hearing about was The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. That game was hard to find around release, especially that it had possibly the greatest pre-order bonus ever, the ability to play Ocarina of Time on modern hardware. Back then, that was insane. Speaking of pre-order bonuses, back then it ranged from copies of old games, cheat codes, in-game items, art books, and even real-life cosmetic items. If you pre-ordered Mirror's Edge, you got a sick multi-pocket bag in which you can rock with style in your day-to-day life. I ain't gonna lie, that sounded pretty corny now that I think about it, but we're keeping it. Or in Castlevania Portrait of Ruin, where you received a large art book, stylus, and a poster that explained the Castlevania timeline. Even if the game did not have pre-order bonuses, there were always the midnight launches, which were a treat. The concept was that for a AAA game or console, developers and retailers will hold events the night of release, which means Gamers would stand in long lines, even camping out by the store for days for their spot to grab a copy of their game. At some retailers, those that pre-ordered in advance got a spot in line so that they were guaranteed their copy. People would get gifts for even being a part of the event. The most notable example were the releases of any old school Call of Duty game, like the original Black Ops or Modern Warfare 2, or even games and game systems such as the PlayStation 2. Even before the age of digital purchasing, the bragging rights of being one of the first consumers to play that new first-person shooter or that game system gave you a leg up on the competition. I would hear stories about all-nighters being pulled on launch night because that person took off work or class just to stay in line for a game, especially a game sequel. Back then, if the original game was good, then the hype for its sequel guaranteed that you were losing coins, time, sleep, whatever that night. This brings me to the current age of pre-ordering, in which similar, but you now have the option to digitally purchase a game, which means you put forth the full price at the time of pre-order instead of paying in increments up to release. The benefits of pre-ordering digitally allowed you to play the game right at launch in the comfort of your home, no lines, no gimmicks, and you were 100% guaranteed to get your game. Midnight launches still existed though, but lacked their luster because so many publishers were dishing out pre-orders like crazy. There were also digital bonuses that usually included in-game items or early access to in-game items. Before microtransactions became common, receiving in-game bonuses was great as you were guaranteed late game items or even rare items that were proven challenging if you had to go through the game normally. You even were discounted with some of the game's season passes, which on top of the full game, keyword full game, you were guaranteed the full season pass at a discounted price. With the ease of pre-ordering and with developers looking at how effective pre-orders were from a financial standpoint, the quality of pre-orders and even the games themselves dropped over time. For example, if you pre-order a game, let's say you get access to 50 loot boxes, which doesn't even guarantee you the items that you want, or just only in-game currency that you could just spend on worthless in-game junk. Honestly, this is the part of the reason people are more cautious about pre-ordering games, because developers will put more effort into making you pre-purchase the game only to get a half-baked product at launch. As a sports and first-person shooter game fanatic, I know this feeling all too well, which is the reason why I did not pre-purchase Call of Duty Vanguard. I mostly play zombies, but having to play one map that completely took the main elements on what I liked about zombies and a multiplayer experience where lag spikes were crazy made me wait to get the game on a discount. The experience is a little bit better, but yeah, it's still meh. But I mean, I sound like a hypocrite and part of the problem because I pre-ordered the new Modern Warfare 2. I have a problem, and spare me one in the comments, please. Also, another problem I faced was regarding the version in which I pre-order my games. You know, I can pre-order in-store, get a sick-looking keychain, or pre-order digitally to receive some sort of in-game cosmetic and access to the game's beta demo, which I always thought was weird for developers to do. Usually the player would have access to the demo to see if they would like to pre-order or purchase the game outright. For example, Danganronpa version 3 has a cool looking art style, but I did not know how the game played, so I was hesitant to buy it. Luckily, they had a demo in which I could try out the game's first chapter, in which afterwards I was sold. Now think of the same scenario, but I had to pre-order the game to play the demo. In that case, I would just watch someone play the game or wait till launch to see the reviews. In the current age, I have learned well, not really, because of the Modern Warfare 2 pre-order earlier, that you need to see elongated gameplay or a demo before pre-ordering, because a lot of the games have disappointed gamers nowadays. While pre-ordering enhances the experience and hype of the game, it is about the core product that will matter in the long run. Next, I will talk about my experiences with pre-orders. Some good, some bad, but I would have to say my best experiences pre-ordering a game was during a midnight launch. I have only been a part of two. The first I'll bring up is the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch. You could not convince me to skip out on this game, as the previous 4 entries were all bangers. And as Nintendo Direct after Nintendo Direct came, I couldn't be any more certain that I was getting this game. And then they announced that every fighter from the previous entries will be included. I literally said, when can I pre-order this game? Because I will do it right when it's available. Then my local GameStop at the time said they were doing a midnight release, and I needed to be the first in line. And I can claim my spot by going to that same GameStop the morning of to grab a ticket with my spot reserved, as I knew all physical copies were going to be out, which I heard they were. Purchasing the game digitally was not even a question, because I wanted to keep a physical copy, as this was my most anticipated game on the Switch. There were no pre-order bonuses though. However, the experience of waiting in line, talking to random folks about Smash, only increased my overall hype. Upon grabbing the game, I spent all night playing it, and of course it was a great game. One more game I'll mention is Black Ops 4. At this point in my Call of Duty career, the Treyarch games were my favorite. Since I was going to play the ever-living mess out of the game, I pre-purchased the Pro Edition, which allowed you to not only get the base game and its season pass, but you were able to get a good chunk of in-game currency, some specialist patches, artwork, and other in-game rewards. Honestly, the game itself provided a lot in terms of content, but the game was pretty average to me back then. But the bonuses were at the right price, and the previous Black Ops entries did not disappoint. So again, this was the easy buy. It's still pretty cool to go back and look at the many bonuses nowadays, and the game has aged well in my opinion in terms of challenge. So please give me your experiences, good and bad, on pre-orders or pre-launch events in the comments. Should you pre-order a game? What precautions should you take nowadays? I wanted to make a fun topic to discuss, and we'll have more discussions on the way. So join our kingdom by hitting that subscribe button, as well as leaving that notification bell on to hear all the news on when my vids drop. I also stream on Twitch weekly, so follow me there as well. And if you made it this far in the video, thank you for watching. Until the next one, I will need y'all to keep the kingdom seasoned, y'all.